Thank you. Wow, so thank you. Can everyone hear me? You know I have 9 kids, so if I have to yell, I can do it. I can be pretty loud. So thank you for for joining me today. So we're going to just kind of continue from this morning. Okay, is that a good plan? So these are the topics. I ran through these earlier today, but just a refresher. We're going to talk about cell phones and cell phone evidence. All right. And then the Internet of Things. And if you're not familiar with the Internet of Things, everything now is getting connected to the Internet, right? Our thermostats and our printers and our cars. What could go wrong? So I thought we'd talk about the Internet of Things. And I'm going to give a live demonstration of one device that's currently connected to the Internet that perhaps should not be connected to the Internet. And then, unfortunately, in a lot of our cases, and I mentioned this morning, about 20% of my work is criminal, and we work both sides of the aisle. We do defense work, we do law enforcement work. It doesn't matter. The data doesn't care one way or the other. But we're seeing an increase in cases involving fabricated evidence. And we're seeing that happening a lot in civil litigation. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to walk you through kind of a case study of a matter that we recently testified, and I think it's pretty cool how we caught the guys. And then the most important topic that I'll cover all day today is doxing. And doxing is the online posting of our personal information. Okay, we get called into a lot of stalking cases involving judges, involving attorneys, involving battered women who are victims of domestic violence. So we're going to talk about doxing, and I've submitted to the organization a one-page document showing you step-by-step instructions on how to remove your personal information off the internet. Okay, and so if you can't find it on the web page, shoot me an email. I'll make sure you get it right away. Okay, but that's going to be the most important. And then, kind of dovetailing off of this morning's talk on the dark web, we're going to talk about. I'm going to walk you through the Prince death investigation, not law enforcement's best moment. Okay. So, has anyone here ever used a cell phone? Have you guys seen these things? I mean, they're so cool, aren't they? It's like, I'm expecting, Captain Kirk to talk into one of these things. But I don't know why we call these things cell phones, though. I drop like every other call. Thank you, Verizon. But these devices, as you know, they do a lot of things, right? You can call, email, text, my Delta boarding passes, right? My room key for this hotel is on my phone. Okay, I can browse the internet. I have my music. You take pictures. My Minnesota Wild season hockey tickets, or they had a bad year. I might not renew. But these devices do a lot of things. And whenever a device does a lot of things, it creates a lot of data. And whenever you create data, you create evidence. So I think of cell phones as snitches in our pocket. They will rat you out, but they always tell the truth. They're reliable snitches. Mr. Dante Cunningham, at the time of his arrest, was a professional basketball player. He was a member of the Minnesota Timberwolves. I didn't even know we had a basketball team. More of a hockey guy. So Cunningham, one night, Mr. Cunningham's living girlfriend calls the Medina police. Cunningham was living in a affluent western suburb of Minneapolis named Medina. And one night, Cunningham's living girlfriend calls the Medina Police Department Help me, help me, help me. He's beating me up. He's choking me. He slammed my head into the wall. Oh my God, help me, click. And the line goes dead. Cops go racing to the house. The girlfriend, she has a couple of scratches on her neck. That's enough PC, that's enough probable cause to take Cunningham into custody. The county attorney, never one to let a good arrest go to waste, has a press conference. So now 17 of the 27 Timberwolves fans know. I'm kidding. He's booing me. What, are you from Minnesota? Basketball fan. So now everyone knows, we have a press conference. Everyone now knows Cunningham is a creep who beats women. He's a creep. A day or two later, Cunningham gets out of jail, posts bond, and the court issues an order for protection. In Minnesota, that's like a no contact order. You can't call her, you can't email her, you can't be in the house, you gotta pack, you gotta get out of the house. No Morse code, no text messages. Your friends can't talk to her on your behalf. No contact, okay? No contact. So Cunningham gets out. The next night, he's still employed at the time, he has a game. So he's at the Target Center, and he comes out on the basketball floor, on the court, and the fans boo him loudly. And I understand that. It's tough to cheer for a creep who beats women. I get the booing. I understand the booing. But the coach is thinking, oh my God, we get booed enough without this. Cunningham, get off, come on, take a seat on the bench. And he gets pulled from the game. Right before that game began, his live-in girlfriend called the Medina police. Officer, Dante just sent me this text message, in violation of that whole pesky court order. And he says, I'm ruining his career. And if I don't drop my case, he's going to have me murdered. He's going to have me killed. Officer, you saw what kind of an animal this man is. He choked me. He slammed my head into the wall. I am scared to death that the next time you come to this house, I'm going to be dead. Please help me. The cops look at her phone. Sure enough, that's a text message from Cunningham. That's a violation of the court order. All right, boys, let's go get him. And the cops, as they sometimes do, they get in their cars and they drove to the Target Center and they waited for Cunningham in the team locker room at halftime during the game. Halftime comes, he comes into the locker room in front of his teammates, in front of team management. Mr. Cunningham, how you doing tonight? You're under arrest. Turn around, spread your feet, point your toes out further, further. Put your hands behind your back. Click, click. Lame handcuff noises. Click, click. Hopefully you've never heard real ones. It was training, I swear. And Cunningham is taken into custody again. So let's have another press conference. Okay? Never let a good arrest go to waste. Gotta have a good press conference. So Cunningham is taken into custody. Cunningham's cell phone is seized out of the pocket of his pants or hanging up in the locker. Okay? And the cell phone, the cops apply for a warrant. Cell phone is brought to my office. We're crime lab for the Hennepin County Sheriff, so that's all of Minneapolis. Okay? And I start my analysis. And I recover almost 2,000 text messages off of this phone. Almost all of them deleted, going back about a year and a half, almost 2 years. We have a lot of text messages. Almost all deleted. But I don't have the text message I care about. How is it that I can recover a deleted text message from a year and a half ago and I cannot recover a text message from like 5 hours ago? Only one of two explanations. Either I'm losing my forensic mojo Or maybe this isn't the phone he used. Cops, go get another warrant, go back to the house. I want every device in that house capable of sending a text message. I want all of his cell phones. I want his iPads. I want his laptops, his desktops. I want his PlayStation and his Xbox. You know he's going to be mad about that one. I want her phones too. I want her iPads. I want her computers too. Every device in that house capable of sending a text message. Cops say, okay, judge agreed, judge signs the warrant. About a day later, the Medina police show up at my office with 3 huge Tupperware bins. You've seen them at Target, right? These huge Tupperware bins filled with electronic devices. I got phones, I got iPads, I got laptops, got his Xbox. And I have just over 30 devices. It's a lot of devices. During the course of your careers, have you ever had a moment when you thought to yourself, gosh, I just made a lot of work for myself? This is my moment. So I start the analysis on these devices. Nothing here, nothing here, nothing here. I'm striking out. I find nothing of interest. Nothing here, nothing here, nothing here. And then like a day and a half into this, I've gone through all of the higher profile devices, nothing. Day and a half into it, I get to an iPad, her iPad. First thing I did was I extracted the latitude and longitude information. It's known as geolocation information. Extracted latitude and longitude information. At the time of that threatening text message, the iPad is at the house. His cell phone was at a hotel across the street from the Target Center. He was in a pre-game meal with his teammates. Remember, he had a game that night. And there is security footage from the hotel showing him there. But this iPad is at the house. 7 minutes before that text message arrives on her cell phone, she logs into the iPad. She goes to the App Store. She downloads an app called Skype. And if you're not familiar with Skype, you can have like video chats or you can send text messages. She downloads Skype. She logs into Skype using Cunningham's username and password. She then sends the threatening text message to herself. A few minutes later, she sends a text message to her real boyfriend in Arizona. Baby, I love you so much. I really miss you. When I see you, I am going to take such good care of you. It's not what she said. I'm sparing you the details. By the time we are done with him, we'll have a roof over our heads for the rest of our lives. I love you so much, baby. XO, XO, young love. XO, XO. I remember when. XO, XO. So, by April 9th, we know Cunningham is innocent. By April 9th, we know, in fact, Cunningham has been framed. Not only does our office know he's innocent, but the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office knows he's innocent. And more importantly, the Hennepin County Attorney's Office knows he's innocent. And remember, this is Minneapolis, okay? By April 9th, we know he's been framed. Remember April 9th. We know he's innocent, April 9th. Fast forward to September 1st, the Hennepin County Attorney finally dropped domestic assault charges against Cunningham because he did not think the charges could be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay. I'm pro-cop, former cop, under contract with a lot of law enforcement agencies. I'm pro-cop, but that's not right. Okay? So let me understand this. When he's arrested, we have not one, but 2 press conferences. We got to make sure everyone knows this man is a creep who beats women. But then, when he's exonerated, shh, let's not tell anyone. Let's not even drop the charges. Isn't that funny? And let's not even say anything for 5.5 months. Let's wait until he's cut from the Timberwolves. Let's wait till he's like out of a job. Let's wait. The guy had one endorsement deal from a company I never even heard of, and he lost that. Okay. So so we have 2 press conferences, but then once an independent law enforcement investigation reveals he's been set up, the best we do 5.5 months later is we just say, case wasn't good enough. We don't exonerate him, do we? We don't exonerate him. Okay, I just think if you're going to call someone out, number one, you should be right. Who am I, right? You should be right. But if you're going to accuse someone of a crime and have a press conference announcing it, how about this? When we show he's innocent, let's have a press conference too. Right? That's just me. Fast forward, right around the time, this is the only article anywhere that I found the last sentence. A police investigation found Heron, the girlfriend, apparently sent the messages herself in an attempt to frame Cunningham. Okay, so we arrest him, front page news. When he's exonerated, we drop the charges almost 6 months later, and the only mention of this is on some lame newspaper webpage buried one sentence that no one is ever going to read. Okay. Right around the time of this article, I received a phone call from the Medina chief of police. Lanterman, I just got off the phone with the NBA's legal department. They want to talk to you. Can I give them your phone number? I said, Chief, that's fine, but you got to tell them I am not buying season tickets. More of a hockey guy, less of a basketball guy. NBA legal team called me. Mr. Lanterman, we have a team, we have an owner that is willing to give Cunningham a second chance, another opportunity. Remember, he'd been cut by the Timberwolves. And he got cut on April 16th, a week after we knew he was innocent, because no one said anything. We have a team, we have an owner that's willing to give Cunningham another opportunity. The chief has explained how you were able to exonerate him. Can you explain it to us? I said, I don't need to explain it to you. Here's a copy of my report. It's public record, right? Public document. It's part of a police report. Here you go. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. A couple of weeks later, I found this in the Minnesota Star Tribune. Pelicans signed Dante Cunningham, the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, I got to say, we might be in last place, but at least we are Timberwolves. Kind of a mascot is a pelican, seriously. Cunningham's exile is over. I doubt that. I doubt that, because if you Google this man today, all you see is a creep who beats women. There's no mention anywhere that he was exonerated through the cops. I'm not a shill for a defense attorney. I work for the cops. We exonerated him. Okay? His exile isn't over. Friends judge, or people judge it by the friends you keep and the company you keep. Okay? His team cut him. His friends distanced him. Oh, you're a violent person, aren't you? Slammed her head against the wall. Ooh, I can't hang out with you. Cunningham was charged in April, felony assault. Girlfriend accused him choking her, slamming her head against the wall, accused him of sending threatening text messages. Charge was dropped after an investigation uncovered inconsistencies with her story. Oh, let's just tap dance some more. Let's charge her. Right? She lied. We can prove that. Third line down, the Medina police they begged 2 investigators quit their cop jobs over this case. The Medina police begged that the Hennepin County attorney, now, this is why the Minneapolis Star-Tribune newspaper is failing. Spell check, people, spell check. Come on. The Medina police recommended that the Hennepin County attorney charge her with making a false police report regarding the second incident, the choking and slamming the head in the text message. But the county attorney opted not to because he did not want to discourage other. I get hung up on the word other. Did not want to discourage other victims from reporting abuse. Now, we work on dozens of horribly violent domestic violence cases every single year. They bring tears to my eyes. It's hard to sleep after some of these. These are horrible cases. But who's the victim here? Not her. Not her. And the point is, it's why I love what we do, because digital evidence is impartial. Digital evidence has no bias. Digital evidence has no prejudice, okay? If I'm an investigator, if I don't like my suspect, I just know he's guilty. The electronics, they don't care. They tell the truth. They are a truthful snitch. It doesn't matter about the biases and the prejudices. They get eliminated by this, okay? And it's why it's important. And not only in law enforcement cases, I'll tell you what, we're crime lab for 38 law enforcement agencies, including the U.S. Secret Service. In our cases, we exonerate 15% of our suspects. When I was a cop, I knew you were guilty because you're the one I'm interviewing. Yeah, I was guilty of thinking that way. Now that I'm in the private sector and I see the data, no. 15% of our cases we're exonerating. That is a scary percentage. 1% is scary. 15, we have cops that get mad at us. It's like, really? Until they get charged. So think about electronic evidence. There's no bias, okay? All right, so just outside of Minneapolis is a city called Blaine. Has anyone ever heard of Blaine? Okay. Oh, Minnesota? Okay, welcome. Do you live in Blaine? Oh, you live in Alaska? Same thing. So, like I'm impressed with Alaska. You should see our winters. Oh, you know our winters. So city of Blaine, approximately 60,000 people. Okay, it's a northwestern suburb of Minneapolis, and in a couple of years ago, the city lost water. Lost water. No one has water. No business has water. No resident has water. And it happens not once, it happens twice. Once in January and once in February. Tens of thousands of people went without water. The city sent out, tweets and press releases. Schools are closed. They blamed it. They said it was a power supply failure. So think of it as a fuse blew in the kitchen. Okay, power supply went out. Fuse blew in the kitchen is what the city told the residents. I love this bottom line. Oh, and residents, when the water does come back on, boil it first before you drink it, okay? Gross. Gross. But there was one sentence in one of the city's press releases that got my attention. The power supply has been replaced, kudos, and the city will consult outside experts to audit the utility for security improvements. I thought that was kind of interesting. The last time you blew a fuse in your kitchen, did you immediately think, I got to update my semantic antivirus? Right? Isn't that kind of weird? It's like we lose water, a fuse blows, and we got to update our security. I thought that was weird. So again, our office, we're Crime Live for the Hennepin County Sheriff's, which is Minneapolis, and we also handle St. Paul too, Ramsey County. But Blaine is in the next county over. They're in Anoka County. So we don't work with them often, but we know the cops. So I saw this and I called the detective sergeant of the Blaine Police Department, the guy in charge of their criminal investigation. I call him up, hey, Sergeant Lanterman, yeah, what do you want? So I call and I say, hey, this water outage, do you have a police report I can see? Can I see that report? Yeah, we don't want to disseminate that. Quick Google search, what does disseminate mean? Oh, he doesn't want to give it to me. Okay, hey Sarge, how about this? Hypothetically, what if I hired a lawyer and then I do a data practice request? Because it's a public record, your police reports, right? Are you going to give it to me then? Oh, geez, Lanterman, come on, man, you're one of us. Don't go nuclear. What are you doing? Oh, come on. All right. I'll send you the report, but you gotta promise me you won't disseminate it. And having just learned the meaning, I'm like, okay, fine. So I'm not gonna give you a copy of it, but we're gonna read through it together. So, the next page is a couple of paragraphs from the actual police report. I don't like slides with a bunch of words, so don't get hung up reading every word. I'm going to walk you through. I'll summarize everything for you, okay? So, imagine I'm the investigator from Blaine. I'm the one doing the investigation. This is my police report. So, this is the cops' police report. Paragraph number 1, the chief told me to start a criminal investigation. Okay, that's interesting for a blown fuse, but all right, I get that. Paragraph number 2, okay, so I'm the detective, and I know at our water processing plant, we have security cameras. And so the first thing I'm gonna do, I wanna go look at the video from the cameras that we're recording at our water processing plant. That seems like a reasonable thing to do. But when I get there, let's see, 4th line up from the bottom, but when I went there, I was told by our City Works employees that the video recorder has been beeping for a couple of months. Beep, 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 beep. And the beeping is driving us crazy, so we unplugged it. So we have no video. Okay, there goes strike 1. Okay, I'm the detective. What else can I do? All right, show me the security logs from the servers, from the computers that control the water processing plant. Oh yeah, those security logs, IT, they delete those every 24 hours. You lose water and your IT guys are efficient enough to, they can't keep the water on, but they can delete. Okay, so let's see, strike 2. All right. And I turn the page of the report. I looked that word up too. It means the government doesn't want me to see what's on that piece of paper. Now, when I was a sworn law enforcement agent, I would redact my reports too. Like if you're my CI, if you're my confidential informant, you know I'm protecting your identity, redact. If you're a kid that gets mentioned in my report, redact. If you're a victim of a crime, I don't want you to be victimized to get redact. Whole page. Not a lot of precision. 14 pages. Redacted. Full page. It was like reading the Mueller report. I'm kidding. No, you're not. Redacted, redacted, redacted. I'm turning pages, nothing on it. Then I turn again and I have words again. Now remember, this is the cops' police report. I, the detective, I reviewed Minnesota State Statute 609. Blah, blah, blah. 609 is Minnesota's criminal code. So, when I was in law enforcement, before I submitted a case for charging to either the U.S. Attorney's Office or the County Attorney's Office, I would review the statute to make sure my report addressed every element of that crime, because otherwise the prosecutor just sends it back and it's embarrassing, full of red marks, and my boss threatens me, and so, I'm kidding, he never threatened me. This cop wants to charge someone with a crime. How do you charge a blown fuse with a crime? And the crime he wants to charge is damage to property of critical public service utility. It is a 10-year felony, $20,000 fine each occurrence. And remember, we know of at least 2 occurrences, January and February. But my favorite 2 sentences are the last 2 sentences of the report. I consulted with the Anoka County Attorney's Office, and they advised that without specific intent, they would not prosecute. What kind of intent does a blown fuse have? Because that's what the city told the residents, right? And I'm sure they were truthful. And I love this. Oh, and our chief contacted the FBI. Operator, get me the FBI. I've always wanted to say that. So, this is the topic that keeps me up at night, and as managers, it better start keeping you guys up at night. This is the Internet of Things. Everything now is getting connected to the internet. Everything. These lights, the HVAC that's running in here, okay? Our cars. What could go wrong? Our smart TV sets that we connect to the internet so that we can stream Netflix in the lunchroom, right? In our conference rooms where we have confidential meetings, we are installing internet-connected television sets that have cameras and microphones in our conference rooms. Our utilities, our appliances, I'll share with you a very brief family personal story. Not too long ago, I made a very serious marital tactical error. I invited my wife on a trip to Best Buy. Oh, you've met her. I like my gadgets. My wife does not appreciate that aspect of my personality. Okay, so invite her to Best Buy, and we're walking up the aisle there. Right in front of me, a miracle of technology. Big halo over this thing. A washer and dryer that connects to the internet. And it has an app. I can start a fluff cycle from my car. This is like so cool, and I'm getting all excited about it. I don't even do the laundry in my house, and I'm getting excited about this. And I look at my wife, and she has that look. Nope. I'm gonna miss her. But our cargo ships, our over-the-road semis that bring food from field to table, that bring medical supplies from manufacturers to the hospitals, all connected to the internet. Our security cameras, our nanny cameras that we use at home to make sure our kids are safe in the backyard, and that creeps use to make sure our kids are safe in the backyard. Our phones, our printers, our pacemakers, our insulin pumps, our implanted medical devices are all connected to the internet. So I thought it would be interesting today to show you one device live that's currently connected to the internet with no security whatsoever that perhaps should not be connected to the internet with no security whatsoever. Here are my rules of engagement. I think it would be unfair, unprofessional, and tacky for me to call out any organization without first contacting them first, telling them what's wrong, and then offering to fix it for free. If you don't take me up on my offer, then you're in my presentation. So, part of my job is I do security assessments for cities, counties, and courts, as well as corporations. And what I mean by a security assessment is I am looking for ways that bad guys can hurt you, and then I work with your IT staff to get that fixed. Okay? You don't want to be low-hanging fruit. And our policy is, because sometimes if I'm working on a project for you, I may inadvertently stumble upon someone else's problem unrelated to you. I don't want them out there oblivious, so that they're the next headline. So our policy is, even if I'm working for you as a paying customer, if I come across someone else, our policy is we contact them, we tell them what the problem is, and we tell them how to fix it for free. And those that don't take me up, they're in my presentation. So let me show you what I found. I'll move my privacy screen. And I'll try to get out of the way here so you guys can still see. And I'm doing this live. I found the city of Toccoa, Georgia. Has anyone heard of Toccoa, Georgia? You guys from Toccoa, Georgia? Okay, list your house. I'll give you a 5-minute head start. Okay, so during an assessment that I was doing for the state of Minnesota, I stumbled upon 17 devices on the internet with no security that I traced back to the city of Toccoa, Georgia. Per our policy, I contacted the city of Toccoa, Georgia. I contacted Mr. Scott at that phone number. And I said, hey, Mr. Scott, here's who I am, here's what I'm doing, here's why I'm calling, just to make sure that that I'm not social engineering you or something. Call the Secret Service, verify who I am, and then call me back. So, Mr. Scott, the reason why I'm calling, I tracked 17 devices back to your city. I'm like 99% certain I know how to fix this. So, why don't we do this? Go get your IT team together. I'll tell them what I'm seeing, how I think they can fix it. I'll do it for free. I just want you to be right. Mark, thank you so much. Wow, this is fantastic. Very generous, very generous. Listen, I'm going to go get IT. We'll give you a call right back. I said, well, great. I'll be waiting by the phone. So I waited by the phone for 6.5 weeks. No phone call. So I called Mr. Scott at that phone number. I said, hey, Mr. Scott, didn't hear back from you. What's going on? Oh, Mark, I'm sorry. I should have called you. Yeah, I talked to IT. They said everything is secure. Okay, what's secure? Because I didn't tell you what was wrong. So what exactly is secure? Because I can tell you it's not. But what's secure? A long, awkward pause. I said, Mr. Scott, why don't you do this? Put me on hold and go get your team right now. Okay, this is serious. Go get your team right now. Say, well, God, how do I put this? IT doesn't want to talk to you. I said, okay. Well, you let them know you're now an example in my presentation. Let me show you exactly what I found. and I'm doing this live. I found the controls for the dam that protects the city of Toccoa from flooding. You see, Toccoa is in the valley, right? Anyone been to Toccoa? Toccoa is in the valley, right? Up above, there's water. There is a dam keeping water out of valley. Water bad. You can see here it says water valve open, that says off. That means the dam is closed. That's good. What happens if I click on? That's not part of today's demonstration. You'll notice my mouse is way to the side. My hands are in clear view, not clicking anything. But you know, what if I was, because I'm just using a browser and an IP address. No security. What if I was 13? Right? And, I'm not really mature because, 13 and mature. And trust me, I know. And, what if I want to show off for my buddies at school and show them what a cool hacker I am? And I click on and I open it. And I flood the town. And maybe people get hurt. Is that the kid's fault? Yep. Is that the city's fault? Better believe it. But isn't it also our fault as technicians, as vendors, as engineers? Because while on one hand we are creating incredible, life-changing technology, we're doing it without a second thought as to the security impact that this technology will have on us. Okay? It's the Russians. It's probably Mr. Scott. But if you think about it, as engineers, we are creating technology without even thinking about the security behind it. Security should not be a patch that we apply every other Monday. Security should be built into the products that we are designing. Okay? It's great that my doctor can wirelessly read my pacemaker. I don't have a pacemaker, but can wirelessly read my pacemaker. Okay? Well, why aren't we thinking, now, how could a bad guy hurt me? Okay? There's a reason why the Secret Service turned off Dick Cheney's pacemaker radio. Because of that. Okay? The takeaway for you is security and technology, it's a balancing act. Whenever we gain convenience from technology, we lose security, and vice versa. Whenever we gain security, the technology is such a pain to use that no one uses it. Remember BlackBerry? And IT doesn't want to talk to me. And I really thought that Toccoa would have taken me a little more seriously. Because in 1977, that same dam burst, flooded the town. The town has a Bible college there. 37 people died. I think 25 or 26 were kids. They were students. And IT doesn't want to talk to me. And IT doesn't want to talk to me. How dare they? Yes? Isn't that like a slight national security? Funny, you should lead me to my next point. Not too long, a few weeks now, I had the honor, I was the keynote presenter at the Department of Homeland Security Industrial Control System Symposium. So an industrial control system is like the dam. It's like it's devices that have limited capabilities, but what they do are very important. Think of it as like a railroad crossing arm, up or down. Light switch, on or off. Lunchbox, open, closed. Okay? Dam, D-A-M. Open, closed. Okay? So I thought, what a great audience. I'm going to hit him with Tekoa. I'll show Mr. Scott. So I gave my talk, and I wrap up. There are probably 120 people that are employed by DHS doing nothing but this. And they are an incredible team. So I finish my talk, I pack up, I'm walking out. It was in a hotel. I'm walking out into the lobby. I have muscle approaching me. Right? Oh, that guy's, it looks like he's packing a gun. Whoa, Mr. Scott. And these two guys come up to me and say, yeah, the deputy director would like to speak with you. I said, cool, great. So we went over, and Mr. Scott, now that was live? I go, oh yeah, I did just for you. So that was live. I go, yeah. And you talked to him? Yep, at that phone number. Give me that phone number. So I have it on pretty good authority that DHS is going to be paying a visit to the city of Tekoa. I wish they already had. And I hope that I pray that you're the last group I can ever do this demonstration for. This is dangerous. And one takeaway is this. Most IT guys, we want to be helpful and we want to do the right thing. But IT guys, we have a personality flaw. We can't admit that we're not perfect. There is no, are you an IT guy? Married to an IT guy? So what happens is when managers come and say, hey, IT guy, we heard this, want to make sure we're secure. Oh yeah, we're secure. Yeah, we're secure. You can, yeah, absolutely. We got this all covered. How many cities are getting hit with ransomware? How many counties? How many states? Their IT guys all say, no, we're good. We're good. So I believe in Ronald Reagan's statement, trust with verification. We want to trust our IT guys. Okay, we hired them. We see them every day. They're hard workers. They want to appease us. With verification, call in an outsider. Just for a second set of eyes. Okay, in courts, judges here, if there are any, we don't charge for this, for you guys. Okay, trust with verification. Believe me, IT guys get a little defensive when we start asking questions, but ultimately, even they would rather hear bad news from us than you being a headline because you had to pay $600,000 in Bitcoin ransom. And now you're the laughing stock of your state. Okay? IT doesn't want to talk to me. Okay, so to catch an email forger, I'm going to go kind of quick because I talk a lot. So we're seeing a big increase in fabricated documents in our court cases. To me, it's shocking. It's like no one has ever heard of ethics, and so not in litigation, right? So we have, do you guys use Outlook? Okay, so this looks familiar to you, right? Outlook. Okay, so we have this case, and let's say I'm one of the parties, okay? I'm not, hypothetical, okay? And I'm in litigation. And there's a discovery order. So now my lawyer is gonna have an IT guy come in and collect my emails, okay? During e-discovery stuff. And this is a key email, and it does not help my case because it says 7 years ago. That 7 sinks me. 7 is, I'm going to lose my case because if that said 8 years ago, I win, slam dunk, no questions asked. But this 7 is a problem for my case. So I'm not going to tell my lawyer because then he'll have to withdraw. But I got to change that. Well, for some reason, for some idiotic reason, Microsoft thought it would be a good idea to give me the ability to edit messages after I've received them. like you do. So remember the 7, 7's bad for me, 8 is good for me. So you click edit message. And I'm going to change 7 to 8 because now I'm going to win my case. And no one knows about this but me. I'm the bad guy here. Okay? So now when the e-discovery expert, come on, comes, this is what my Outlook looks like. And it's no outward signs that I tampered with this. Okay? So then the e-discovery expert starts making PDFs and TIFFs and loading it into relativity and all of that nonsense, right? It looks perfect, 8 years ago. Okay, so this is not as complicated as it looks, so don't be afraid. But we're going to focus on the top half first and then the bottom half. When emails are received into a mail server, in order to keep track of them, they are assigned a unique number, and they're done numerically in order, okay? So before I tampered with the emails, we have the top half, and you can see the unique ID, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 is 7 years ago, okay, before I tamper. Goes in order, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Everything looks good. But then when I fabricate that email, I have the bottom half. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 no longer exists, right? Because I modified it, I changed it. It doesn't exist anymore. But it gets assigned in numerical order. That new email gets assigned the next available number, okay? 17, 18, 19, 20, 24. That's called a red flag. So, if there are any judges here, if you have a party, if you have a lawyer in front of you requesting native format production during discovery, this is what they're talking about. If this was pieces of paper, you get 8 years ago and I win, even though I'm the bad guy. If you're producing PDFs and TIFFs and loading it into concordance or relativity or whatever, you get 8 years ago. Native file production, you get this, just like the chicken from this morning, okay? Native file production, it is less expensive. Why would you pay me to take a Word document and convert it to a PDF? Can you not read a Word document? Right? But vendors are convincing you this is the way to do it. You got to use me to convert from one format to another. That's bad thinking. It's more expensive and you don't get this benefit. Native file production. It's always less expensive because you just take a Word document, copy to a thumb drive. It's not that big of a deal. Okay? It's more proportional to the needs of the case because you're not paying a vendor to do much of anything other than collecting it. Does that make sense? Okay. Doxing. Mr. Thomas Wayne Evanstead is a convicted rapist. He assaulted a child and he's sentenced to prison. Upon his release, after only 12 years, he has a bucket list. He is still mad at every single person who he perceives took away 12 years of his life. Blame everyone else. Yeah, he had nothing to do with it. So he has a beef with the prosecutor, with the state court, or with the district court judge that presided over his hearing. He had a problem with the cops. He had a problem with the sheriff. He had a problem with the governor for not issuing him a pardon. So upon Evanstead's release from prison, what he did was, like a coward, he went to everyone's house and started taking pictures of their kids in the backyard, taking pictures through the windows of their houses, have little little kids playing with the fire trucks. Okay, a family having Thanksgiving dinner, taking pictures. Okay, of our kids. Remember why he was in prison. Posting the pictures of our kids online. One error in Evanstad's judgment, among many errors, he did not take into account the governor's security detail. You there with the camera, may we have a word? No. That's about how fast I run. And dives in through the open window of his waiting vehicle. And now they're in a high-speed pursuit for about 4 feet. It was rush hour. Plan ahead. I read the state trooper's report. The trooper wrote in his report, I reached in through the open vehicle window and I extricated Evanstad from the vehicle. I looked that word up too. So search warrant is executed on Evanstad's mother's home. He was living in the basement. Surprise! And the computers are all seized, cell phone seized, brought to my office. One quick takeaway for you, and I'm going to start talking faster. Web pages are made up of a bunch of different parts. So when a computer user goes to a web page, all of those pieces get downloaded, like buy it now button, or here's a picture, or here's text. All gets downloaded, put together, you see the web page, and then when you move on, that stuff tends to just kind of go away. Well, delete doesn't mean delete, and we can put pieces back together. So we know what the suspect was looking at and when, because they're all date and time stamps associated with this. So we put together about 700 exhibits for this guy's trial. This was one of them. What we determined is the suspect went to this web page, typed in the name of the district court judge that presided over his prosecution and sentenced him. She's now on Minnesota State Court of Appeals. Got her home phone number, got her address. Oh, directions. Now I know where to go and assault her. Okay, so last year I had the great honor, I spoke at the 11th Circuit Judicial Conference. It was held in Jacksonville Beach. And Justice Thomas is assigned to the 11th Circuit, and he introduced all of the speakers. And I asked, I got a selfie. I got a selfie. And I asked him, hey, Justice, I have, I need a victim for my presentation. Would you do it? Yeah. Is it gonna hurt? No. Okay. So during my presentation, I brought this slide up. I said, and about 1,500 people here. I said, does anyone here have the home address of 6665? If you do, stand up. Justice Thomas and his wife Ginny stood up. Silence in that room, except for the marshal shuffling over toward me. I said, okay, sir, 0642, what's that? Oh, that's the last 4 digits of my personal Verizon cell phone. I go, sir, one last question, 1232. And I'm thinking, thank God he's laughing. Last 4 digits of my social security number. I go, thank you, sir, have a seat. And I finish my talk. And afterwards, he comes up to me, and there's a group, and I thought they were gonna jump on me or something. I thought they were all marshals. And he comes up to me, and he reaches in his coat, and pulls out his cell phone. Take this, I'm going off the grid. Give me your card. So I take the card. And like a week or two later, I get a call from the U.S. Supreme Court Chief of Police. They have a police department. I didn't know that. I thought it was the marshals. What do I know? Mark, it's the chief. The justice would like you to come to the Supreme Court. He wants you to do a 4-hour training, just like the one you did in Jacksonville Beach. Are you willing to do that? Yeah. So I show up, and Justice Thomas gives me this little coffee mug. So I got Supreme Court swag. And he goes, so Mark, are you ready for the training today? I go, oh, yeah. Are you going to do the same thing that you did in Jacksonville Beach? I go, oh, yeah. Oh, now, before you do that, I got to ask you, I'm not the only one you found, am I? I said, oh, no. Well, I found her. She lives at the Watergate. Isn't that kind of ironic? Found her, found him. I found them all. And I shouldn't be able to do that. And the takeaway is, this is a security risk. Okay? Because if I can do it, anyone can do it. And this is a security risk. So the takeaway is, you cannot have physical security ever without cybersecurity. And you cannot have cybersecurity without physical security. They go hand in hand. I will tell you, Justice Thomas was a little annoyed with the marshals when I did this. Why aren't you doing more? So what I've done is I put together a one-page sheet. I mentioned it to you earlier today. I put together a one-page sheet, step-by-step instruction. I made it for the justices. Here's how you take your information off the internet, okay? I'm giving it to the organization. I'm told they're going to put it on the webpage. If you can't find it, shoot me an email. I'll make sure you get a copy of it, okay? Don't be like me. Don't be lazy. Follow my instructions. Share it with your friends, your family, your coworkers. The last thing you want is for a creep like Evanstad showing up at your house at 2 in the morning. Okay, these are dangerous times. Protect yourself, and that's how you do it. Yes?
Mark, we did not get that, but I can assure you we have already contacted your assistant, and we will be getting it.
Excellent.
Everybody will have it on,
Excellent. And if there are any questions, let me know. I have like 2 minutes. Oh, and... But I'm not going to show you the tax returns. But I found her too. So don't think I can't find you, and don't think the criminals can't find you. Everyone in this room is a potential target, okay? So real quickly, I talked about the opioid problems this morning, okay? And that leads me to, do we have time? We have a couple of minutes. You guys okay? Are we good? A couple of minutes? Okay. So Paisley Park, April 21st, 2016. We're crime lab for Hennepin County Sheriff's. Paisley Park is in a neighboring county. I get a phone call from the sheriff, Lanterman, get your folks, pack your bags, get to Paisley Park. We have a mutual aid request. Something big's going on. It's like, well, okay. So we show up. Paisley Park is a weird, it's where Prince the musician lives. You guys familiar with Prince? Okay. Prince the musician. It's weird. It's like a warehouse in the middle of nowhere. Like this building here is one big open space. There's not even a floor separating the first floor and second floor. And it's in disrepair. It's like no one has ever even been in there. But Paisley Park, cop showing up for the search warrant. When you enter Paisley Park, on the left is a reception area. Down the hallway on the left, office space. At the end of the hallway, to the right is recording studios. Up the stairs, personal living space. Okay, I'm going to show 2 photographs. Neither are graphic, but I don't want complaints that I'm showing them. These are educational. They're not intended to shock or minimize the tragedy, okay? So if you don't want to see them, close your eyes or get out, okay? All right, so picture number 1. When Prince was found, he had a bandage with a semi-permanent stent on his arm to receive IV fluids, okay? A side effect of opioid abuse is you become dehydrated, you become constipated, all right? So he needed fluids constantly. Elvis Presley was not fat. That was not fat distending his stomach. okay? So anyone in his inner circle who says, oh gosh, we had no idea, they're lying, because he's walking around with a stent in his arm with scarring around it, meaning he's had it for a while, okay? Second photograph. When the EMTs arrived and on the elevator, they dragged him out of the elevator. So this is on the carpeting in front of the elevator. When they took him out and started resuscitation efforts, the one EMT looked at, because he's sweating. This is, they estimate, about 8 hours after death. He's sweating profusely. There was literally a puddle of sweat on the elevator. When you overdose from fentanyl, you sweat profusely until there's no more sweat in you. When the EMTs arrived, they saw him sweating 8 hours later. EMTs said, oh, this is fentanyl. He knew it 6 months before chemical testing came back, said, this is fentanyl. Okay? So if you're involved in a death investigation with sweating, it's fentanyl. That's it for the graphic pictures. Up the stairs is the personal living area. This is the outer room in front of Prince's bedroom. There are mirrors on the wall. This is a very small room. I'm going to say it's probably 10 by 12, but every room in Paisley Park had mirrors. So they all seem bigger than they were. That's the door to Prince's bedroom. You'll notice that the windows are covered with black felt. In drug investigations, sometimes you'll see foil over the windows or something like that. Addicts develop sensitivity to light, so they tend to block out the light, okay? When you walk in to Prince's bedroom, that's Prince's bed. You know, I wasn't sure what I expected, but it wasn't this. You know, you see, famous people living, one way, and you think one thing, and this looks like a drug addict's bedroom to me. The deputy taking the crime scene photos notices something in the bed skirt. Little white dot in the bed skirt. Little dot. It's a counterfeit Vicodin. Vicodin is stamped with the word Watson on it. A pharmacist looked at it and said, nope, this is Vicodin. Chemical testing came back 6 months later. It's fentanyl. So on the dark web, you have criminals. Vicodin is expensive. In an effort to boost my profits, I buy cheap fentanyl and I make counterfeit pills that look like Vicodin. Big profit margin. He was used to taking 4 Vicodin a day until his doctor tried to wean him off. Prince didn't like that, went on the dark web, started buying counterfeit Vicodin. He didn't know it was counterfeit Vicodin. So he's taking 4 fentanyl. Fentanyl is 14 times more powerful than Vicodin. So instead of taking 4 Vicodin, Prince was taking the equivalent of 50 Vicodin a day. I'm surprised the man lived as long as he did. Okay? So a horrible tragedy. On his nightstand, got to stay hydrated. On his nightstand, you see Bear and Aleve. Open up the Bear container, all counterfeit Vicodin. And the Aleve, all counterfeit Vicodin. The man had no idea that he was taking fentanyl. So it's tragic, but I guess the takeaway is technology is allowing criminals to do what they do, and this type of stuff affects young, old, rich, poor, black, white. It doesn't matter. It doesn't discriminate. It's hurting all of us, and we need to recognize this. And I don't know what the solution is. I'm just here to tell you this is what we're seeing. So I know I ran a little bit over. Any questions? Yes?
So you were talking before about how the pictures and data doesn't lie, and so it's unbiased. But what about like the deepfakes that are starting to emerge, and the fact that a lot of cases aren't employing people like you or people whose skills are anywhere near your staff level? Like, what are courts supposed to do then with that video and document evidence?
Sure. So question is, I said data doesn't lie, but what about deep fakes? Okay, these are the videos that look real. And what do we do about those? And what if an organization doesn't have access to someone like me? It's going to be a big problem. And the takeaway is, don't believe everything you see. Okay, just unless it can be proven scientifically, oh, maybe it's real, maybe it's not. Okay, you can't just think that everything you see, oh, look, Nancy Pelosi slurring her speech.
Well,
But she actually didn't.
for sports and you're accepting these things as evidence, what are they supposed to do to sort of protect the integrity of justice?
Yeah, so when courts are accepting this information into evidence, what can the courts do to protect the integrity of justice? Make sure you have a good foundation. Make sure you have a good foundation. If I come into court with a cell phone saying, my wife violated that order for protection, look at the text message. Don't take screenshots as evidence. I can make a screenshot. If you can't back it up, that's why forensics, I think, is becoming so important, because you can't always believe your eyes anymore. It's no longer like pieces of paper, So just be careful, and when in doubt, look into it. But just know everything that comes in front of you may not be true, just because someone says it is. So, great question. Thank you. Any other questions?
Action.
Thank you.